Blessings, namaste, and love, everyone. I'm Spiritualist, Psychic, Astrologer, and Medium Sette. As always, thank you for this opportunity, for allowing me to share with you my astrological and spiritual insights. And in this segment, we are looking to the month of August of 2024. Now, first things first, we will be approaching our next Mercury Retrograde in August. Mercury will move retrograde on August 5th. It will remain retrograde until August 28th. And as I have always emphasized, that not until Mercury moves past the point at which it turned retrograde are we not completely out of the retrograde influences. And that point is on September 11th. Now, Mercury will begin its retrograde in the sign of Virgo. Both Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury. Every sign has a planetary ruler. Gemini and Virgo are ruled by Mercury. So when Mercury moves retrograde in the sign which it rules, sometimes the retrograde influences can be a little bit more intensified. That being said, and as I have always stated, that when we understand how to work with any planetary influence and properly craft the energies, we counteract any of the potential negative effects. The Mercury retrograde doesn't suggest or indicate that we need to have difficulties. It's understanding how to work with the energy. So Mercury is in simple terms, is the planet of communication, thoughts, words. And whenever there is a planet that is retrograde, especially Mercury, we acknowledge and emphasize all the R-E words. During a Mercury retrograde, we reflect, we review, we reassess things in our lives. It's an opportunity to go within and direct the energy of the mind and the thoughts within the self. And one of the most effective tools to employ that is the technique of meditation. You know, when we quiet the mind, we are given great clarity from spirit. Mercury retrograde in the sign of Virgo, it's an opportunity, among many things, for all of us to perhaps become more clear with our service to humanity. Mercury in Virgo, or the sign Virgo, represents our service to humanity. Virgo also represents health, wellness, and our well-being, nutrition, and all those other wonderful things. So this is an opportunity to, one, perhaps reflect on what your service to humanity is. And remember, there is no wrong or right with any of this. It's allowing yourself to acknowledge how you are being guided with certain elements and embrace that guidance and explore the possibilities. Mercury retrograde in Virgo, it's also an auspicious opportunity to reflect on your health and wellness regimen with whatever that might be. Again, there's no wrong or right. It's recognizing, R-E, what serves a purpose for every one of us personally. Honoring that, acknowledging that, review, reflect on it all, and once Mercury moves direct, those are the opportunities to apply all that we have reflected upon during the Mercury retrograde. You know, that being said, if travel is in your plans, allow yourself additional time to get to wherever it is that you are going. I also emphasize that if you do have to travel during a Mercury retrograde, it certainly does not indicate that there needs to be disruptions and delays. Quite often, I've traveled by plane during a Mercury retrograde, and actually I've had experiences where the travel arrangements actually took place earlier than anticipated, than scheduled, and I've had very little disruptions. And that's because I've allowed myself to really just become peaceful and not create disruptions, because many times we do create these disruptions that we encounter with discordant thoughts, discordant energies. And when we allow ourselves, again, to become very peaceful, quiet the mind, become aware more during a Mercury retrograde of the thoughts that you're putting out there. And when we can redirect the energy towards an outcome that is much more peaceful, then we counteract any of the possible potential negative influences. Remember, none of this has power over us. All of these alignments are tools for us to navigate this human experience. And when we understand how to work with the energy, we counteract the potential negative influences. That being said, once again, dedicate the Mercury retrograde to additional time in meditation. Get out in nature, walk barefoot in the ground, really feel the presence of spirit that is abundantly clear in nature when we allow ourselves to be aware of that presence, as well as its guidance. Quiet the mind, go within. You know, there is quite a bit of discordant energy in the outside world, especially as we're going through these summer months, and it does not suggest that we have to be subjected to those negative influences. Again, when we are aware of the spiritual tools available for everyone to counteract the negativity and work with the energy. So certainly during this Mercury retrograde, allow yourselves to reflect on your personal wellness and know you have power and control over that. Explore all the tools, modalities, whatever is available for you to maintain ideal wellness and the optimum functioning of the physical form, so you can continue to enjoy and embrace all the many blessings that every one of us have been intended to enjoy by Prime Creator, God, Spirit, the universe, whatever that is, while we are in this human experience. All right, enough about Mercury retrograde. We will have our next new moon on August 4th, and I always emphasize that before the new moon, the last phase of the lunar cycle, the last stage, is the balsamic moon, which is about 3 or 4 days before the new moon, and it provides us the opportunity to energetically prepare ourselves for the coming lunar cycle. Now, the balsamic moon will begin on July 31st at 12:17 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That is the last stage of the lunar cycle, which prepares us for the next cycle, which begins on the new moon. Our new moon in August is on August 4th, and the exact time of that is 7:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Now, this new moon, it's in the sign of Leo. It's about 12.5 degrees of Leo. And what I would like to emphasize with that is, and if you've listened to me over the years and watched these videos, I always emphasize the opportunity of what is known as the Lion's Gate portal in August. The exact time of the opening of that portal is about July 23rd to August 11th and 12th. And it is exact on August 7th, 8th, and 9th, specifically August 8th, at the moment of sunrise. What that is at the moment of sunrise, there is the rising of two suns. Our sun Helios, as well as the star sun Sirius. At the moment of sunrise, at that time, both those elements are rising at the horizon at sunrise. And one of the many opportunities during this time is to remember our connections with divinity, as well as the understanding that that element of divinity is very much inside every one of us. Leo rules divinity. The sign Leo is connected with divinity as well as creativity. One of my sayings is that when we demonstrate ourselves to be creative, we connect with divinity, and when we connect with divinity, we demonstrate ourselves to be creative beings. We are all creative beings. And remember, creativity is not specific to art and music. Creativity is multifaceted, and every one of us has a creative potential, just like every one of us has a genius potential. And those possibilities are very unique and specific to every one of us. And during this human experience, we are inspired to recognize that individuality of that genius and creativity within ourselves. During this time in the summer months, with this Lionsgate portal, we are inspired to recognize our creativity, our connection to divinity, and to fortify that creativity, as well as the understanding of divinity. The Lionsgate portal coincided every year with the flooding of the Nile, which fortified the land in those countries, in those areas. This is an opportunity to fortify our connection with divinity as well as our creative potentials. Allow yourselves to recognize how creative you actually are. And during this time, reinvigorate that creativity, connect with divinity. Leo is ruled by the sun. The energy of the sun is creative. It gives life. It energizes every one of us. It's connected to the solar plexus. So if it resonates with you, perhaps on the mornings of August 7th, 8th, and 9th, dedicate some time to meditation at the exact moment of sunrise. Face east and just imagine that your solar plexus is connected with the sun. The sun is connected with the solar plexus, and it's energizing, it's invigorating that element, and allow it to rejuvenate your physical form as well as your own unique creativity. And you know, this new moon, which it's right before that Lionsgate portal, so that Leo creative energy is very, very, very strong. You know, again, allow yourself to recognize your own unique personal potential to be creative in whatever form that might be for you. For many, many years, we are all being inspired to awaken to these wonderful elements that every one of us has the potential to connect with. You know, the sun, without the sun, we really would not be able to exist on this earth plane. The sun rejuvenates, it fortifies, it gives life. You know, there are many misconceptions about the effects of the sun, and it certainly does not suggest that we are to, you know, abandon anything that may protect us against the negative influences of the outside elements. Which, that being said, you know, perhaps allow yourselves every day, just 20 minutes a day, perhaps, to just feel the energy of the sun on your face. Feel that energy just fortifying and reinvigorating you, and just allow yourself to just become rejuvenated being out in the sun. You know, just like with anything else, anything in excess certainly may not serve a greater purpose for us. And as always, allow yourself to recognize whatever resonates with you and embrace these suggestions that those like myself offer, so that you can enjoy a much more blessed and balanced existence while we are in human form. This is really why we look at all of these and offer our suggestions to help you navigate through this human form. That's why we use that's why the tool of astrology has been shared with us from the higher realms, the higher powers, the powers that be, whatever that might be for you, so that we have these elements to navigate with grace and ease when we understand how to work with the energy while we are in this human encounter. So with the new moon in the sign of Leo, also too, I just noticed that we also have Leo rising at the time of the new moon, which it's shortly after sunrise on August 4th. So it's very close to that Lionsgate portal. So this year, perhaps even more so than other years, it's so important for us to really connect with that energy, that element of divinity that is in every one of us. The negative influences of that Leo element is that when we endeavor on inflicting our control and suppression over another, ego at its lowest form demonstrates itself as being connected with ego. At the highest element, it's creativity. It's also love. Leo represents love as well as children. You know, we are very much inspired to recognize the importance and the significance of being in that place of love. Every one of us, when we can allow ourselves in every moment of every day to just be in that place of love. Remember, that's whatever we're being, that's what we're generating out into the world. So this time in August, especially with the Lionsgate portal, we are inspired to recognize the importance and the significance of being in that place of love. When every one of us, or rather when the majority of humanity exists in that place of love, that's what we are radiating to the outside world, and that element is counteracting all the negative influences which may be taking place. One of the most effective demonstrations that we can be during these times is to be in that place of love. I cannot emphasize the importance enough of recognizing the profundity and the significance of truly being in that place of love. And when we are being in that place of love, remember, that's what we are generating to the outside world. And we are very much at a significant turning point during these times. And the more that the majority is able to be in that place of love, that turning point will be towards the light, and we will fortify the earth with universal and unconditional love. Now, our full moon is on August 19th, and the exact time of that full moon is 2:25, almost 2:26 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It is in the sign, the moon is in the sign of Aquarius, the sun is in Leo, the opposite of Leo is Aquarius. And what is significant of the alignment is that there's a 90-degree angle between Uranus and the sun and moon. It's forming what is known as a T-square alignment. The sun and the moon are opposite one another, and that element of Uranus is directly between those two within 4 seconds of a degree, so it's significant. Uranus is the element of change, powerful and great change, which leads to awakenings and higher levels of knowing. And in order to get to that place, change needs to be present. Leo and Aquarius are what are referred to as fixed signs. The fixed signs, they don't want to change. They can be very, very rigid. However, change fortifies creative growth. So the August time frame, especially around the time of that full moon and the weeks after, great change certainly can unfold in the outside world. And remember, all of this can very much be orchestrated with grace and ease when every one of us is in that place of peacefulness. Every morning, allow yourself, if possible, at least the first hour upon awakening, allow yourself to be in meditation. Release any fear that you may have regarding change. Embrace change. And we are so very much being inspired to just surrender to something greater. And I always emphasize that when we surrender, it certainly does not infer giving up control. You know, many times we aren't comfortable with surrendering because many think that that would suggest that we have no control or power over our lives. In fact, as I understand it, the greater we allow ourselves to surrender, we are very much instrumental in creating all that we choose to desire to enjoy while we are here. So certainly the August time frame, and as we go through the end of the summer and into the fall, it very much can be a time of great and powerful change. If we are not comfortable with change, it can potentially create difficulties. Allow yourself to release any fear regarding change. Uranus is the planet of great and powerful change, which always leads to awakenings, higher levels of consciousness, progressive thinking, abstract thinking. Those fixed signs, they don't want to change, and the fixed elements will sometimes create rigidity. However, when we allow ourselves to change in many forms, we fortify creative growth. And that allows us to also recognize that we are very much instrumental in creating our realities and that we are the master of our destiny. I will talk a little bit more about this in the September video, but Pluto is retrograde. It is going to be going back into Capricorn in the late degree of Capricorn. The late degrees will always indicate times of change. We've had many elements in late degrees. Uranus is at the late degrees of Taurus, Neptune in the late degrees of Pisces. And that being said, there is a favorable alignment between Neptune in Pisces and Uranus in Taurus, which actually on a spiritual level is very much shifting the consciousness of the all of humanity to a higher level of spiritual understanding, especially regarding all that is occurring and unfolding in our world. What is occurring is a powerful and profound spiritual shift towards higher levels of consciousness. Many are concerned with certain lower understandings that are taking place, which all of that, they're just convenient distractions which cause us to be diverted from recognizing these higher levels of consciousness, these great awakenings that are unfolding for every one of us, so that we can all, every one of us, no one left out, we can all enjoy the blessings of our birthright. That's the bottom line in very simple terms right now. And this awakening can be very much intensified as we go through the remainder of the summer months and into the fall time frame. And remember, if we have a fear of change, it will only create difficulty. Surrender any fear, welcome change, and allow yourself to recognize on a personal level how you're growing, but also too how the all of humanity is catapulting to higher levels of consciousness. On August 22nd, the sun transits into the sign of Virgo, and that the exact time of that passage is August 22nd at 10:55 a.m. Mercury still is retrograde, so those retrograde effects can be a little bit more intensified. Mercury actually begins its retrograde in Virgo and goes into Leo, then goes back into Virgo. So while Mercury is transiting retrograde in Leo, it is a time to reflect on your own creative potential and to recognize and honor that, as I said earlier, how every one of us are creative beings. When the sun transits the sign of Virgo, it's an opportunity to really reflect and explore our personal wellness routine. Virgo is about certainly about health, healthcare, and wellness. It's also about our service to humanity. So whatever the sun transits at that time, remember, as I said earlier, the sun energizes, it fortifies. It fortifies and highlights certain elements of our human potential. And as it transits Virgo, it's an opportunity to really explore your health and wellness regimen and routine. And certainly with the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, if you're not enjoying optimum health, it's an opportunity to explore other modalities and embrace whatever resonates with you. Remember, there's no wrong or right. It's allowing yourself to recognize what resonates with you personally, whether it's with healthcare or anything else for that matter. Virgo is also our service to humanity. Every one of us are very much in service to humanity. And we are creating great change in the outside world. We've heard many, many times that we are inspired to really be the change that we desire to enjoy in the world. It begins first and foremost with every one of us individually. Be abundantly mindful and aware of what you are being in every moment of every day. Remember, we are human beings. We're not human doings. All of this has very little connected with the doing. It's about the being. that creates the change. Be in that place of love. Allow yourself to be abundantly aware of all the thoughts, all the words that you are casting in motion. The Mercury retrograde, again, it's about thoughts and words. It's about being and what it is that we are being, and to change what we're being if we are not enjoying that which we would like to enjoy while we are here in this human form. It's also very much a time to perhaps, review some spiritual material that you might have, books that maybe you read even 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and allow yourself to recognize the higher levels of understanding that you are embracing while reflecting on some of that material. I actually was just given that in this very moment as something to include in this segment, to just review some spiritual material, especially books that you have. It's so important to detach as much as we can from these electronics. Many don't recognize how these electronics, as much as they may be intended to serve a greater purpose and to create a little bit ease in our lives, those energetic interferences do sometimes create disruption. So we do need to detach from those elements as much as possible. And certainly, we are given opportunities to share, as in these platforms, our knowing with certain elements. And like anything else, we need to create a balance and sometimes detach and remove ourselves and just kind of reconnect with the earth. Virgo's an earth sign, so it's so important to reconnect with the earth during the Mercury retrograde in Virgo, as well as the sun's passage in Virgo. Remember, the earth, we're talking about health, healing, and wellness. The earth heals us. The elements, the energy of the earth, and all those natural elements are designed to assist us with health and wellness. Just being out in the earth, walking barefoot, connecting with the energy of the earth helps to ground you. It also pulls out the toxins from your body. And allow yourself, maybe even more, to just be present in nature, connect with nature, and just observe and acknowledge how those situations perhaps assist you and create a sense of peacefulness while we are certainly during these times of great and powerful and profound change. Once again, I'm spiritualist, psychic astrologer, and medium Sette. As always, thank you for offering me these few moments to share with you some of these many insights and understandings to help you navigate this human experience. Many blessings in love and light. Namaste.